Welcome everyone back to weekly weather updates, and in today's video we're going to look at the latest from the live radar. We'll have a look at the latest temperature observations, as once again we could be just about touching 30 degrees as this heat wave does continue and will probably continue for the rest of this working week. However, as we head into the weekend, as we'll see from the UKV, things could start to turn a bit more unsettled. We have had a lot of thunderstorms over the last 5 days. Not only could we see a return of those thunderstorms through the weekend and start of next week, but we could also see some more prolonged areas of thundery rain. Not pop-up cells, but more widespread areas of heavy precipitation as we do reach sort of the middle of the month. So we'll run through the UKV, which just about gets towards the weekend and start of next week. We'll run through the GFS, have a look at that precipitation charts. That has some very interesting precipitation charts today with some significant rainfall in places. We see low pressure sit out to our southwest, wafting up hot air, but also sending instability our way. And then we'll also check out the GM, ECWF, and the ensemble to see what they're showing as we do head into the second half of June. So do remember, if you enjoy my videos, make sure you like and subscribe. And remember to follow me on Twitter as well, the link's in the description. So do start on the live radar at the moment. For the first time in a number of days, we've got near enough bone dry conditions through many areas. There's only a few isolated showers and thundery showers breaking out just to the north of Scotland. There's the possibility over the coming hours, according to this around 3 p.m, but as we head through the next few hours, could be a few thundery showers through parts of the Republic of Ireland and Northern Ireland, but it's a much drier day as we do see higher pressure moving back in for Northern and Western Europe with all those thunderstorms and areas of instability getting pushed away. Now this has allowed those temperatures to rise quite high once again today. The air mass has dropped by a couple of degrees because we're veering more of the wind in from an easterly direction than from a southerly direction, and generally the air mass is losing a little bit of steam, but it still is above average. It's still pretty warm, still pretty hot air mass, and we're seeing temperatures perhaps rise as high as 29 or 30 degrees at the moment. We'll look at the exact observations in a minute. But most areas, once again, well above average for the time of year. Most regions, again, hitting heatwave thresholds, and you can see it's up and down the country. It's not just regionally. Yes, the hottest conditions is sort of central, southern England towards the London area, but all areas are getting well above average, touching on those heatwave thresholds. So you look at the latest temperature observations from NetWeather. Again, must emphasise this, they don't have all the weather stations, but they do have quite a few and give us a whole spectrum here. So you can see Northolt in London 29 degrees, but even areas up towards Yorkshire and Humberside in towards Sheffield City 27 degrees. So it's up and down the country, seeing high 20s, and there's the possibility we do reach 30 degrees around that 3 or 4 p.m. point, as these are, as I said, 12 till 2 p.m. observations. 3 p.m. observation will come out in the next hour or two, and we'll be able to see if we do reach that 30-degree mark, which I do think will happen, but it is touch and go. It's a bit of cloud. It is bubbling up in places, and that could prohibit temperatures from rising too much further. But regardless, still a very hot day, and once again hitting heatwave thresholds in many regions, prolonging this early June heatwave. Now, if you go over to the UKV and see what the precipitation temperature is doing over the next 5 days, you'll see over the next couple of days we're not seeing too much in the way of precipitation, but towards the weekend things do start to bubble up. So you can see through this afternoon, dry conditions, a few thundery showers could pop up through parts of the Republic of Ireland, but we're not seeing those spawn at the moment, so they could still erupt, but we're not seeing anything on the live radar as of now. As we head into Thursday, you see a bit more of a cloud in the south and the west, generally over parts of the Republic of Ireland there, and again a few heavy thundery showers could break out, and maybe a couple through parts of Wales and central England, but again looking mainly light, maybe a few odd thundery ones in here, not quite as much instability and energy around compared to what we had a few days ago with those really severe thunderstorms. As we head into Friday, we can start to see the shower activity does increase in the south and the west. Again, another day of sunshine and showers through parts of Wales, northwest England, Scotland, Northern Ireland, and the Republic of Ireland, with some heavy thunderstorms breaking out through parts of Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland here. Just signs of that instability returning. As we head into Saturday, the instability gets a bit more widespread, all the way up towards Scotland, even touching down parts of central England, and generally a bit more cloud around, again showing signs that instability is rising and low pressure is moving in. Regardless of this, dry conditions further eastwards, but still a few more heavy thundery showers. As I said in yesterday's video, the next few days as we head into around Saturday time, it's time for the west to be getting a lot of these heavy thundery showers. The east is taking a bit of a respite, but we'll likely see that rain return as we head towards Sunday and Monday. So if you head towards Sunday, another quite cloudy picture and just generally areas of rain. There's not really too much associated with convective thunderstorms or anything. So showing that general instability is continuing to rise. And as we head towards Sunday afternoon, we can start to see bands of rain potentially approaching the far south and more widespread heavy thundery showers. And then as we head into Sunday, again, more widespread areas of heavy thundery rain spiraling in from the south. And this is because we are seeing lower pressure rise up from the Bay of Biscay, pulling in some hotter air around the southeast of it. You can see down towards northern France, 16 or 17 degrees at 850 HPA. That's a low to mid 30 degree sort of air mass. So it's going to be hot, it's going to be humid once again, and the risk of some very heavy rain will be returning initially in the west on Saturday and Sunday, more widely. Again, still in a showery format, perhaps turning to more prolonged areas of heavy thundery rain, maybe as early as Sunday, but definitely looking likely into Monday from the south. And we'll have a more extensive look on the GFS precipitation charts in a minute, as that does go out beyond the day 5 range. If you look at the max temperatures now, you can continue to see it's going to be pretty hot over the coming days, hitting heatwave thresholds in many regions. All the way to the weekend, even the rain does start, because that air mass is rising. Wherever we do avoid the rain, it will still be very warm. Again, today, widely temperatures in the mid to high 20s, touching 28 or 29 degrees in the south. And of course, we looked at the latest observations, it's already reached that around 1 or 2 p.m. So we could reach a 30 degrees somewhere, but not quite as widespread as it has been over the past few days. But still very warm around those mid to high 20 point. As we head into Thursday, again, very similar today, widely mid to high 20s, and again could touch that 29 or 30 degrees in central southern England. Again, most areas are touchdown of what it was from sort of Saturday through to Monday time, but regardless, still very warm and hot. Into Friday, again, another very warm day, and again, central southern England could reach that 29, maybe 30 degree mark, and again, widely mid to high 20s. The far west, though, Republic of Ireland, Northern Ireland, cooling down a bit more, and that's because those showers are moving in, large areas of cloud as well, holding those temperatures back. Still be a warm day, generally still probably average to above average, but not quite as warm as it's been recently. And then to Saturday, still generally quite warm, maybe still hot in the far east, 27, 28, but again, a touch down on what it has been, and that's because there's more extensive cloud and rain in the west. Again, just holding those temperatures more towards the low 20s, but it's still very muggy out there as the air mass does increase in temperature up at 850 HPA. So it is slowly getting more muggy, but also more cloud and rain. And then finally, as we head into Sunday, you can see perhaps an isolated 28 or 29 degrees through parts of the northwest up towards Liverpool. But again, that is very regional, simply because they're avoiding the cloud and rain. You can see across southern England, where rain is starting to move in, thicker cloud as well, only the high teens. But as I said, it's an incredibly humid, warm air mass, so it won't feel like 18 or 19 degrees. It won't feel all too fresh. It'll probably feel quite muggy, but with rain and cloud around. Again, these temperatures can change very quickly if that rain and cloud moves positions, so don't take this too much as gospel at this stage. Again, if we look at the dew points, look at the dew points in the far south there by Sunday afternoon, rising to 16 or 17 degrees. Again, that doesn't sound ridiculous, but it is a very warm dew point for the UK. And you can see through this afternoon, most areas around the 5 to 10 degree dew point, still muggy through Republic of Ireland, as we still have that warm unstable air. That's why there is the risk of a few thunderstorms there. So you can see it's a substantially more humid and muggy as we head into the weekend, start of next week, similar to what it was this past weekend, where we did see big thunderstorms break out. Will it play out exactly the same way? Probably not. This does look like more of an organised areas of rain instead of the pop-up storms, and sort of see what happens, which is kind of what happened through Saturday to Monday, where models had a go at trying to forecast exactly what happened, but never could be too accurate because of the convective nature. This does look much more frontal, with occluded fronts coming from the low pressure. And potential for some convection within that. So much more complex, but much more unstable, and potentially a much more rainy, widely rainy picture as we head into early part of next week. But still warm and hot, where we do avoid that cloud rain. Must emphasise that. So do head into the longer range now, look at the GFS and see what that is showing over the course of the next couple of weeks. Getting the high pressure building in at the moment, cutting off that instability, but more of an easterly flow, which is reducing that air mass ever so slightly, meaning it's more, as I said, mid to high 20s, maybe touching 30 degrees, then widely low 30s, what we saw Saturday through to Monday. As we head towards the weekend, though, you can see the low pressure system here approaching from the west and southwest, and that does spiral in, giving a southerly flow, but introducing lower pressure instability that will bring widespread rain, especially in the south and west. And you can see the low does spin up quite substantially through Tuesday and Wednesday, and that could give, again, more very heavy rain. Into the longer term, high pressure could build back in, but still traps low pressure to our south, could give more showers and storms all the way to the end of the month. Still instability around. So this latest GFS is continuing to be fairly warm, if not quite hot, especially in the next 7 to 10 days, but a lot more instability and low pressure around. We have a look at the air mass. You can see through Sunday into Monday, 10 to maybe as high as 15-degree air mass gets wrapped around that low pressure system. Again, difficult to say how much of that will impact the UK, but it will fuel the low pressure system regardless, and will give more rain in many regions. As we head beyond that, still southerly flows looking likely there. The 15-degree air mass might just skim the southeast here towards day 10 before low pressure does try to return. And we see this similar all the way into the longer term, where hot air masses are close by, but getting mixed up with lower temperature air masses. Again, giving the risk of instability and general areas of rain within this. If you look at the precipitation chart from this, where we run out to sort of day 7 or day 8, where sort of the reliability does diminish, you can see over the coming days generally the risk of thunderstorms in the west. And again, GFS is going to overblow it quite a bit for at least the thunderstorm aspect, because it's very difficult to distinguish exactly where they'll pop off. But you can see here the risk is there in the west through Friday. Into Saturday, still the risk in northern and western regions, but it's really into Sunday we see more of a widespread heavy rain risk for many parts of England and Wales. And you can see it's culminating through Monday with more very heavy rain spreading up from the south associated with this low pressure system as we head into Tuesday and Wednesday. Widespread heavy thundery rain appearing and more precipitation as we head towards day 10 as well. All heading up from the south, which does mean it's going to be a hot, humid air mass with heavy rain embedded within it because of more of the energy in the atmosphere. And of course, thunderstorms could be associated with this as well, with all that energy pushing up from the south. But it's not going to be a thunderstorm exclusive event. It's going to be mostly areas of heavy, maybe thundery rain, with the risk of embedded thunderstorms or thunderstorms appearing where we do have a break in the clouds and in the rain. So we'll have to see exactly how it does play out, but the models are definitely starting to converge on this idea of something a lot more unsettled next week. But the only caveat really is it's going to remain fairly warm, which some will probably not particularly like, as it will be quite sticky and humid out there, and also the warmth will probably increase the precipitation rates in places, as well as aiding to the energy within the atmosphere. If you look at the GM now, we can only look at the midday run from yesterday, because the midnight run hasn't properly loaded on Wetter Central, unfortunately. So we'll run through this quite quickly, as it is out of date data now, almost sort of 24 hours out of date, unfortunately. But similar pattern with low pressure heading up from the southwest, not quite moving as far eastwards, so it could bring the risk of widespread rain further westwards, but regardless, a very similar pattern with more southerly flows and generally warmer, hotter air masses wrapping around that low pressure system as we head into early next week. Look at that 15-degree isotherm just skimming the far southeast, and again that would give temperatures set in excess of 30 degrees if we did see some sunny weather. And that's what you can see through parts of northern France, with the UK associated with more rain here. So that heavy rain further westwards, just touching on that air mass in the east, that will cool things down quite substantially. And here, look at all that very heavy rain in the west, so a good few inches of rain here. And again, most of this rain does fall from the weekend onwards, from sort of perhaps in the west, from the weekend onwards, from sort of Saturday, Sunday onwards, mainly in the west, because the low pressure is slightly further out into the Atlantic than the GFS was showing. So small shifts like that is still possible, but the general gist of low pressure approaching from the west and southwest is looking the likely solution at this stage. Finish by looking at the ECMWF and the ensembles. Again, low pressure approaching from the southwest and continue to spiral up, giving heavy thundery rain in places and all the way to day 10, keeping that instability around, not letting high pressure too firmly take back control. But this would also cool those air masses down a bit, as it, after the hotter weather through the early part of next week, eventually cooler air mass could come in from the north there as the low pressure moves out into the North Sea. But still very similar hot air mass wrapping around the eastern side of this low. Heavy rain approaching there, big wall of rain there. And again, look at the accumulated precipitation. Lots of heavy rain, especially in the west against the east. They're favouring the west a bit more here. Once again, but regardless, a lot more rain than we've seen widely for a number of weeks. Of course, locally, thunderstorms gave this amount of rain in regions. We didn't see it widely, as I said, running back all the way for a number of weeks. If you finish by looking at the ensembles, this is well reflected here. Generally, slightly cooler this week, but still above average in terms of the air masses, around that 7 to 9 degree mark. Then rising once again into the weekend and start of next week as we draw up that southerly wind, so hotter air mass returning. But look at these precipitation spikes. Some off-the-scale precipitation charts here showing multiple inches of rain, but most are just showing quite big spikes and quite a big clustering here as we do head towards sort of Saturday to Wednesday period. Got a lot of heavy rain, and it is looking more and more likely, especially the ensembles on board. And then as we head into the longer term, still plenty of warm runs, most are above average, and even some very hot runs appearing. Anywhere from 15 to 20 degrees at 850 HPA would be pushing that 30 to 35 degree mark quite widely. So have to keep a very close eye on those hot runs in the longer term, and anything getting up to that point would really be oppressive heat, a lot more than what this past weekend had been. Make no mistake that the heat wave we're experiencing now, the top temperatures peaking around that 31, 32 degree mark widely, is still hot, but it's nothing too ridiculous, nothing out of the ordinary. But if we did start to see those temperatures push up towards the mid-30s, then we would be talking proper heat. Heat we normally see, we usually only see every few years, but recently we've been seeing most years, and that would come if we saw that air mass get up into the high teens or 20 degree point. We'll have to keep a very close eye on that. Again, the 2 meter temperatures are generally quite warm, widely around the mid-20s, could be higher where we see sunshine, but again, that'll be very much dependent on precipitation, especially towards the weekend and start of next week, and into the long term, you can see even some runs getting towards the 35 degree range. As I said, keep a very close eye on that. The dew point as well will be rising from around sort of the high single digits towards 10 degrees at the moment, up towards the 15 degree point. Again, doesn't sound substantial, but it is a big difference in the feel-like temperatures. And if we finish by looking at the ECMWF ensemble members, very similar. Brief drop in upper air temperatures over the coming days, but turning hotter towards the weekend in terms of the upper air temperatures, and the precipitation rapidly increasing too, meaning we're going to be seeing a lot of rain come from many regions. And as I said, it's not just convective based. There will probably be some convection, there probably will be some thunderstorms, but we're looking more at weather fronts approaching from the south, which will mean there'll be more blanket areas of rain and cloud for many areas. So it does look likely, if you have got plans, perhaps into the weekend, but definitely into the parts of early next week, there is going to be rain around. Luckily, it's going to be warm rain. The temperatures will be generally still pretty decent, but there will be heavy rain around, so make sure you do factor that in if you have got plans. So anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you have enjoyed. Do enjoy the sunny, warm, dry weather over the coming days, as who knows what could be hitting us as we do head into next week. So as I said, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you again for another video soon.